Hello students, so I wanted to go over your final exam, your final project, and just to give a little more explanation and perhaps answer any questions that may have arisen. First of all, I wanted to start with the main method. Now, this main method is given to you. You do not need to make any changes. How does it work? What it does is it simply creates some tests. There are 10 tests in all. It loops through and keeps asking you. So your task is to keep saying 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? So these are 9 tests. And there is one test that tests if the file name is correct or not, if the file exists or not. So in all, there are 10 tests, right? So the first test number 1 is to do with does the file exist or not, and that's the only one that you may find, hey, where is test number 1? But I will talk about that in a minute. So what is happening in the main program is that 2 user accounts are created, 3 user accounts are created, 2 are a checking account type, and 1 is a saving account type. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a bank which called Wells Fargo, which contains different types of accounts. And then how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by reading from bankdata.txt, exactly the same file that you've been using in your early assignments. And but the only difference is that you may see an S or a C at the end of it. So let me see if I can pull that up in a second and I will show it to you. One moment. Let me see if I can pull that up. So you see this file here. Everything is the same as before, except you see an S, C, S, C, and S here. So this Matilda is a saving account, Fernando is a saving account, Vaivu is checking, Sugata is checking, and so on. So the question is, how are we going to take this information and create the bank? What we will do is we will go to, here, I'm going to go back again to the main. So what we are going to do is ask the user for the name. If the name is given correctly, it's going to pass that file name to the constructor of the bank class, right? So your bank CPP has got a constructor, right? This is the copy constructor. It's not this one. Where's the constructor for the bank? Display account. Here we go. So this constructor, it takes the file name and it uses a try-catch statement. And what you need to do is you need to open the file, which is bankdata.txt, read it line by line, and fill the contents of a bank account, right? And then push that bank account onto the accounts vector. Now you see there's an accounts vector. You can use the fill vector method exactly the same way as you've been doing. So in your bank .h, you would have an accounts vector, and what you would do here is in the constructor, in the regular constructor, is you would use fill array to basically read from the file and parse all the tokens from the file, construct a bank account, and push that bank account onto the accounts vector. So that's what is going to be done. That's what is basically getting done here in bank. The constructor is called, the bank is populated. Now you're ready to go. Now, if you do not give the correct file name, your try-catch statement should say that your catch should say file error. And you should exit, because if you don't have the data, then you can't do anything about it. All right. Now the next thing that we're going to do is sort accounts. This sort accounts is meant to be very simple. It's up to you to use quick sort, whatever, but the simplest thing that you can do is just simply do something like, if you have included algorithm here, in whichever file you need to do this, include algorithm, then you should be able to use the STL. Now, no, this is not going to happen in the main program. So please don't do it in the main program. This is all going to happen in the bank.cpp class. So let me go and show you sort accounts. This says use the STL sort. So here I've already given to you algorithm. Now what you need to do is you just simply need to call the STL sort. How to call the STL sort? Just to sort and then do accounts vector, whatever, accounts vector dot begin, accounts vector dot end, and then the last thing what you're going to do is you're going to give that greater than. Right? So what this is going to do is it's going to pass that greater than object which will do the comparison. Right? So if you have read your chapter on functors and function objects, this will be clear to you. If it is not, then don't worry about it. Just pass a greater than object and you should be good to go. So you don't need to do selection sort or quick sort or whatever. Just one line of this will be fine. Now, so what is the next thing? Let's go back to bankmain.cpp. Now, so having done this, now since we're ready, it is going to display the account. We've got a sorted bank. Now you're going to say test action number 2. That action, you don't have to do anything, but what you need to do is make sure that in bank.cpp, you work on 6 methods. That's your primary task in this finals. You need to write 5 or 6 methods in the bank.cpp class. So now there's also one thing that you need to keep in mind is that when you create the bank account objects, what you will be doing in this constructor is you will be doing something like, if you read the type equal to S, then you will be using the savings account. You're creating an object of savings account. Create an object of savings account. Otherwise, if it is C, then you create it of checkings account. So exactly like in the magical creatures, you had created something of type magical creatures, right? Declared it to be of type magical creatures, but created it of type elf. Exactly in the same way, it's going to be shared pointer of user account. Let's say A is equal to make shared, right, checking account. So this is the kind of stuff that you're going to be doing, right? But of course, you're going to have to do a little more work by making sure that you're actually passing inside your user account inside your user account constructor, your checking and saving account constructors. You do exactly the same kind of work that you did in your magical creatures class, right? So that's something that you're going to need to be a little bit careful, because the way the inheritance is going to work is if you create the accounts of type user account, but actually create them of either checking or saving account. So that's one thing I wanted to point out to you. Then the other thing that you need to do is start doing your testing. Now here, what your action number 2, your test number 2 does is it tries to add the account. Now temp is already created for you. It's going to automatically do that. But for that, you're going to need to work on the add account method. What is the add account method? All it's going to do is if you go into bank.cpp, you've got a lot of comments here to add an account. So basically, push this A into the accounts vector, and then use the STL sort, right? That's all you need to do. And then there will be another test. The third test is remove account. For remove account, all you will need to do is exactly the same thing you did in your previous assignments. Erase, find the item, just do a linear search. You don't need to do a binary search. Just iterate over the vector and simply erase that item. And then the test will, so basically in bank.cpp, you have written a add account method, you would write a remove account method, and then what other methods do you need to write? So let's go to action number 4. In action number 4, this is going to test your knowledge of copy constructor. What we are doing is we are creating a backup, right? And we're saying create a backup bank, which is a copy of the Wells Fargo bank. So when we copy something like this, we're going to need a copy constructor. And here's where your copy constructor comes into place. Where's the copy constructor? Right here. See, this is your copy constructor. And what it's going to do is you can write it in whatever way you want. Basically, now you're creating a backup, and you will need to push all the items do a deep copy of all the items in Wells Fargo into the backup. So Wells Fargo is coming in as the other, and you're going to have to iterate over all the elements in other, create a copy, right? Create a copy, create new bank accounts, copy information for each bank account from Wells Fargo, and then push that bank account onto the backup bank. So that's what you're going to need to do. You don't need to do vector.resize if you don't want to, because a vector is going to grow dynamically. All you need to do is simply create bank account objects by iterating over the Wells Fargo other, and then pushing it onto accounts vector, and then you're done. That's all your copy constructor is going to do. And if you do that correctly, then this one would have, this thing would work, your test 4. Now you want to check if both of them are the same, right? So the way the is-same works is it just simply takes, right? It takes two banks, the Wells Fargo and the backup, and just iterates over either the bank account or the other vector, looks at each bank account for both of those banks, and then uses the equal to method. Now the equal to method should check if each and every field matches. So check if ID is equal to ID, name is equal to name, right? Because you want the backup to be absolutely 100% photocopy. So, and then check if the balance is the same and all of that. So the equal to method you're very familiar with. It just returns true or false if both the accounts are the same, right? Now, where is the equal to method? The equal to method is not going to be in bank.cpp. It's going to be in your user account.cpp, because user account is the class that takes care of each bank account, right? Whereas the bank class, so what we're doing here is an object composition. A bank contains multiple, multiple bank accounts, right? Okay, just exactly like a magical creature array, it contains a lot of magical creatures. All right, now let's go to action number 5. Here, remove account. Try and remove an account from the main bank, right? And now check if the backup and Wells Fargo are the same. They should not be the same, because if you've made a change, if somebody's just walked in to the bank and said, can you please delete the account for me? You've done that, but the backup is still the same, then both of them should not be the same, right? Okay. Then what we've got here is action number 6. Action number 6 says, tries to withdraw. So you need to do the withdraw method, which you've done already. Simply try to withdraw some money, $20 from here. This should be successful. And then here, it depends. What is temp 2? If temp2 is savings account, if temp2 is a checking account, then you can delete it. Otherwise, we will run it and I will just show you. And then action 7, try to withdraw $100 from here. Try to withdraw $5,000 from here. So $5,000 is a lot of money. This may not go through. And then now try to withdraw money from savings account. You should not be able to do that. Try to deposit money. So these accounts, these methods, deposit account, withdraw account, all of these are stuff that you've done before. So you just need to just make sure that you pass the bank account and you pass the amount, and then the account deposit method will just iterate through the accounts vector, and it'll find the bank account temp and it'll try to process whatever you need to do, remove or withdraw or deposit. And then now try to deposit money into checking. A negative number should not go through. Otherwise, the only change that has been made here and is that some comments have been added, and also there was a typo here which said withdraw instead of deposit. Otherwise, the main program looks fine. And say this is bank account, bank data.txt. Okay, so here I would like to, now it has read all the items. I'm going to test 2. So it says now added, it has added a new account. It has added John Smith. It has added John Smith, and it has so that. Now let's check 3. With 3, it says removing account. It has removed Lily Zhao's account, so we don't see her in the in the bank. Now let's do item number 4. It has made the backup and it says verified backup right here. Item number 5, because we removed one item from the Wells Fargo database, it says backup error, databases do not match. So this is also great. Now number 6 is whether the withdraw successful for amount 20. And so Waiwu's account, we have withdrawn $20. And then what we've done is withdraw successful for this amount. We've withdrawn -20. So it has gone and added that thing back. Okay. 7. Now here we cannot withdraw $99 because there's insufficient funds. And again, we cannot withdraw $5,000. So I think our previous test was test number 8, if I'm 7. Okay, let's test 8. And here we cannot withdraw from a savings account. And then 9, successfully deposited with rewards, whatever. And then 10, we cannot deposit a negative number and deposit successful, right? So that's a kind of an overview of how your finals thing would go.